All right, my name is Mac. I'm a running coach, and I am here to tell you that you do not need to run more miles to get faster. You just need a specific strategy. We are going to go over the 5 types of runs and exactly what do you need and what does that workout look like. So we're going to go over fuels, which is fast, unwind, easy, long, and strength. And the proof that I have to be able to teach you this is that I have been running since 2008. I've been a competitive runner at a D2 level. I've run nationally multiple times, 506 in the mile, and I have run at a peak of like 40 to 45 miles a week, and I stayed at that for a very long time, and I never went into like the 60s, the 80s, anything like that. I think I touched 50 one or two times. And I am currently training for the mile, and I'm getting faster off of literally running 2 miles for my easy run. So it is possible. I'm going to teach you exactly why, because you need a faster strategy, and I'm here to help you get faster. So let's dive in. Okay. The very first one that we're going to go over is the fast part. So this is probably something that you're familiar with. But before we dive into specifically the F for fast, you need to have all of these runs, and you cannot just have one of them. So if you are just running hard, fast all the time, you are burning yourself out, you're going to get injured, and you're not going to see any growth. Overall, what we want to do is kind of look at the stress and rest cycle. So you're going to stress your body, you're going to have a hard workout, you're going to do something big, strong, fast, whatever it is, and then you're going to rest your body, come down, take a break, whether that's an off day, a rest day, cross training, whether that's in a workout and that's your rest part of it or your cool down. All these different things is where we can kind of push and we can pull back. And what you really don't want to do is stress your body too much to the point of where you cannot recover. So we have these 5 types of runs, and I'm going to tell you how many of these runs that you should include in a normal week when you have finally established your base. So your base phase of training, I'll quick show you this. So when we have a full training season, your base phase is your first one. This is where you're establishing the miles. You're just building your base, and when you have a strong base, then you can finally build and get faster off of that. So we're probably in the build phase is where you can start adding in all these different types of runs. Okay, so the fast one, this is going to be your typical running workout. And if you don't know, I have a video on my channel that talks about running fast. And side note, if you don't want to do any of this, you want to just do it like you want to plug in and not worry about how to figure all this stuff out, spend time watching YouTube, I have a private coaching down in the link below that you can just apply for. Okay, so if we're doing F4 fast, this is your typical where you have your warm up and you have your cool down at the end, and then you have the fast stuff in the middle. Okay, the actual workout. Okay, so these we use a different. I'm not gonna show you that one. But remember, when you are doing your fast stuff, you have to have these 3 pieces if you want to run a good workout. You have to have the warm-up part, and you have to have the actual fast part, and you have to have the cool-down part. You cannot be skipping any of these pieces, and you can't just think, oh, like, I'll run fast and just skip my cool-down. You have to at least get something in, even if it's 2 minutes, please get it in. So this is stuff like fartleks, progression runs, tempos, intervals, ladders, repeats, all those kind of like fancy terms that you hear in running. Most of that stuff is going to be categorized under the fast stuff. Again, there's another video that you can kind of go into and look at if you want real specific stuff, but I would highly suggest that if you are a newer runner that you only have about one of these a week. And I know that can kind of seem like only get one fast workout, but trust me, it will make you lots of gains if you add in all these other stuff. If you've been running for a while, you can usually kind of start to squeeze in 2 workouts a week, with one being like your more main hard workout and then your other one working on something else. So if you're going to include 2, one might be like more like speed fast workout, others might be more like tempo style pace to like build on that endurance piece and be able to run for longer, for farther, depending on what your race is. Now, the second part that we have to include is the U is the unwind part. So this is like your typical rest days. And I would highly suggest, if you are on the newer end, anywhere from like 3 to at least 1 day a week. And that's just like taking the full rest day completely off. You can start to like, if you're want to do less rest days, you can start to include cross training, which is literally anything else, any type of exercise besides running. So that's like cycling, that's ellipticaling, getting on the elliptical, swimming, can be yoga, it can be strength training, can be considered that, but that's going to be in a different piece. But anything like that, that's more like endurance relating is really good because usually that stuff is not as hard on the body as running is, and it allows you to honestly do more, go harder, and get more benefits from it without breaking down your body as much as running does. So that's some times where you can gain a little bit extra benefits if you're ready to move on to not having as many rest days, but I would highly recommend for you to have at least one rest day. Even when I was like tip-top shape and I only would normally our Mondays were our off days, and I maybe had like 1 or 2 days where I would run like 2 miles. Okay, the other part is that you want to have easy days. So easy days, this is probably going to be anywhere from like 2 to 4 days a week, kind of depending on your schedule. And this is where you run conversational pace, you run easy, you run zone 2. And I won't get super hard on the specifics. Some people think you have to run really, really slow. You don't have to run really, really slow. But when you're running, if you, let's say, call a friend and you're talking, having a conversation with them, you should be able to have the conversation, but they should also be able to tell, like, oh, she's like clearly doing something, exercising, working hard. So please make sure that you do have easy days. That is part of the rest cycle and the stress rest cycle. So you can still gain some benefits. You can still gain some endurance. You can longevity, get more miles on your legs, but it still is more on the side of that rest part. Okay. The other part in the fuels is the L, and that stands for long. So your long part in your 5 types of runs is the longest run that you do all week. And most people are going to stress, what I also recommend is not going over half of your weekly distance is usually kind of where you want to stay around to avoid injury. So let's say I'm running 20 miles in a week. My longest long run should be about 10. And you can kind of get away from that, especially if you've been a runner for a while, or if you're really, really new too. Sometimes you can kind of get away, but that's like general rule of thumb, kind of where you want to stick. And then slowly just increase your long run every week. And then every like 4 to 5 weeks, you kind of want to have a down week, bring down your long run, bring down your mileage. And then the last one is the S, and that stands for strength. So this is where you would include, I would recommend maybe 1 to 2 strength workouts a week so you can actually get in the gym or lift weights, body weights. Honestly, it doesn't have to be as intensive like if you see the HIIT or the Hyrox or the gym bros and gym girls. You don't have to lift like that because you are a runner. Your goal isn't to get like these super huge muscles. And if that's you, that's fine. You can have that part. But if your goal is specifically like at the top is to get faster, strength training shouldn't leave you feeling exhausted. Usually you're going to pair it with like your fast workout for the day or your long run. You're going to go from your hardest day and then you're going to tack on a strength workout. And that can literally be like 20 to 30 minutes. And oftentimes it's just working on those muscles that like you use specifically in running. So it's not going to be like, oh, you're doing an arm day or a leg day. It's honestly a lot of full body stuff, a lot of stabilizing stuff. And just good running form stuff. So it's just training all of those muscles and keeping them activated, keeping them strong so that you don't get injured. And a lot of it is injury prevention stuff. So again, it's not necessarily to like feel these huge gains, gain a lot of muscle. It's mostly just injury prevention stuff and honestly getting you stronger as a runner, and can get you faster when you are just stronger all around. So that's strength stuff. Other substitute, especially in the beginning of your running season, this is like a key thing that I really like and a lot of other coaches, is to do hill workouts. And usually you can do like 2 to 3 or even hill sprints. So an example of a hill workout would be running like a 45-second or a minute hill where you run up really hard and then you jog very, very slowly down. And then you run hard up, and you can start from like 4 to 6 of those repeats and eventually get up to like 8 to 10, something like that. But you can like repeat it like 3 times throughout the season, maybe every other week. And that's kind of a good base building phase in your training. Okay, so if you want to get faster, that is what I would recommend. In the long run, you should have 1 a week. Okay, so make sure you have all 5 of these in your training week every single week, and I promise you, you will get faster if you have these, especially if you've only been doing just all out hard workouts all the time, or if you've only been doing easy. If you start to incorporate all of these things, you will get faster as a runner. We have stuff down below, so check it out and let me know what else you want me to go over.